بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
From amongst some of the other virtues that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned for her, right? He says, Allahumma inni uhibbuha. Or about, the family of the Prophet ﷺ. فَأَحْبِبْ مَنْ أَحَبَّهَا. That, oh Allah, I love her. So you love anyone who loves her. And oh Allah, anyone who hates her, then you also hate them. This is the dua that the Prophet ﷺ gave because of the maqam that she had. This is the difficulties and the hardships that Sayyidah Fatima Radiullahu Anha went through. And I will end with this, such a beautiful story. What Fatima Radiullahu Anha said, and the incident when the Prophet was passing away, fi marad al-maut, that when the Prophet ﷺ was fainting and he was going into unconsciousness, sometimes he would come out of consciousness and he would come into unconsciousness. So Fatima, when she would see her father in this very difficult state, that he is suffering, right? She said, Wa karba abata. Oh, the suffering of my father. Oh, the suffering of my father. فَقَالَ لَيْسَ عَلَىٰ أَبِيكَ كَرْبٌ بَعْدَ الْيَوْمِ. Oh, my daughter, there will be no more difficulty on your father after this day. I'm going to leave this world. After this day, I'm not going to have any more difficulty. So then when the Prophet ﷺ passed away, look at the beautiful way that she addressed. And this is very important to understand her words. She mentioned some very beautiful words, but the only way that we can understand these words is to understand Arab culture. There was something that the Arabs had which was called nawha or na'iha. They had na'ihat, that when a person would pass away, they would have people that would shave their heads and rip their clothes and beat themselves and wail and scream when somebody would pass away. And they would say, oh, why did God do this? And God should have taken me. Why did He take you? And you were so beautiful and you were with me yesterday and you're not with us today. And they do this in places like in Afghanistan and Pakistan also. Till this day, they pay them. They call them, they pay them and said, okay, make a good show, make it really sad. Okay. Oh, you were with us. You're gone now. Why did God do this? God was such a zalim for doing this. He should have done it to me. I wish I would be in your grave right now. I want to kill myself. I want to go in the grave with you. And all of these this is called nawha, mourning, which is haram. Not mourning, M-O-R-N, M-O-U-R. Mourning, M-O-U-R-N, means to wail and to cry and to scream and to beat yourself. The Prophet ﷺ said, right, when you do this, it causes hurt and pain to the deceased. إن الميت لا يعذب ببكاء أهله عليه يعني ببكاء الصراخ ببكاء النوحة. Right, when you cry in that way where you're complaining and you're screaming and you're beating yourself, as is the habit of women of certain places, they do that. And in some places they're hired. They give them money. Oh, Jazakallah khair, here. Thanks, that was a really great show, And then they make people cry more. And when they do ta'ziyah, when you do ta'ziyah, you're supposed to console, غَفَرَ اللَّهُ ذَنْبَهُ أَدْخَلَ اللَّهُ الْجَنَّةِ and this, that, and the other. So they have, then they grab the person and they make them cry even more. And this even increases the pain. And especially in our cultures where we have 3 days, and then 7 days, and then 40 days, and then after 1 year, and then we cook food and we have the mullaji, he comes and he blows on it like Hindu priest. A'udhu billah min dhalik. Money making schemes. Right. He comes and he blows on the alwa. And we still have it. And even in America, people, subhanAllah, there's even no fuqara here. Everybody, his belly is over the belt. Right? And still, alwa ra pukhta mein karam yahan da masjid mein mara. So if somebody dies, they cook alwa. What is that? What is there? Is there some sanctity in halwa or something? Is it like some Mubarak food? We're reading about the suffering of the Sahaba, and where does halwa come from in religion? We're reading that these people didn't even have food to eat. Fatima, she didn't have food to eat, and then halwa. Then when somebody dies, you have to cook halwa and put it in the pita bread. Where is pita bread in the time of the Prophet? They cook halwa, they put it in pita bread, and then they leave it in the masjid. The meaning of that was when people would pass away in the olden days, they would do sadaqah jariyah and feed the poor people. And give the ajr of that to oh Allah, that we're feeding the poor people. Oh Allah, give the ajr of that to the person who deceased. People don't, they just think that there's some ajr and thawab in making halwa for some reason. And you see what happens. Half of it goes inside the garbage. Nobody even eats it. Why? This is waste. Right? So these are the customs that existed. And look at the beautiful way Fatima, who has so much pain in her heart, and she comes from the Arab culture, she could say anything. Oh Allah, why did you take my father? Oh Allah, why did you do this to me? I hate you for doing this. People say these type of things. You took away my dad. Why not anyone else's dad? Why did you take my dad? There's people that yell and scream and they say these type of things, A'udhu billah min dhalik, which is haram. If you have family members that are doing that, console them. Right? And then you have the hardcore Sharia, the haram police, they come with their stick, shut up, and beating the women. Don't beat them. Tell them nicely. I know it's an emotional thing. Things come out of your mouth, but don't say shut up and beat them and become the haram police at that time. There's a balance. Look at the beautiful way that Fatima Radiullahu Anha, she expresses her pain. So she says, right? She says, Ya abata ajaba rabban da'ah. They used to sing songs, and they used to say poetry, and they used to say nawha. So look at the beautiful words of Fatima, how she consoled herself, and how she expressed her pain of the death of her father. He says, Ya abata ajaba rabban da'ah, Ya abata jannatul firdausi ma'wah, Ya abata ila Jibreel nan'ah. Right? Look at the beautiful words that she said. Oh my beloved father, you answered the call of your Lord. Allahu Akbar. Oh my beloved, Ya abata, oh my beloved father, ajaba rabban da'ah. You answered the call of your Lord. That's why you left this world. Your Lord called you and you went. Look at how much consolement and comfort there is in that. He didn't leave because Allah killed him. He left because Allah called him. Look at the two ways of looking at things. This is iman. This is contentment. This is yaqeen. This is faith. Right? This is spirituality. We say, what do we say? Oh Allah, you killed my dad. Oh, you called my dad. One is killed, one is called. Look at the difference. Subhanallah. You called my father and he answered your call. Allahu Akbar. And he said, Ya abata, jannatul firdausi ma'wah. Oh my beloved father, the highest paradise is your destination. The highest paradise is your abode. You're not with us. So what? You've left this world, which is a temporary world of suffering. You went to the world which is everlasting bliss and happiness. What can be better? This world or that world? This world is better or the next world is better? Jannatul firdausi ma'wahu. The highest maqam of paradise is your abode. Ya abata ila Jibreel nan'ah. Oh my father, Jibreel is the one who is consoling you now. Now you are conversing with Jibreel alayhi salam. Now Jibreel is your consoler, the one who is consoling you, the one who is with you. Who is your companion now? You've left these companions. You're in the consolement and in the company of Jibreel alayhi salam. فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ وَالصِّدِّيقِينَ وَالشُّهَدَاءِ وَالصَّالِحِينَ وَحَسُنَ أُولَٰئِكَ رَفِيقًا. This verse of the Quran, Allah Ta'ala gave him a choice. You want? What do you want? The Prophet said, Rafiqul A'la. He said, Rafiqul A'la. I want the highest Rafiq. I want the highest companionship. Who's the highest companionship? Mala'ul A'la. Allah Azza wa Jal. And Shuhada, Siddiqeen, Nabiyeen, Salihin. The Prophet chose that over everything else. Subhanallah. And then when the Prophet was buried, what did Fatima say to the Sahaba? What did she say? أَطَابَتْ أَنفُسُكُمْ أَن تَحْثُوا عَلَى رَسُولِ اللَّهِ التُّرَابِ. How do you feel of throwing dust on the body of the Prophet? How could you do that? Do you feel comfortable to bury the Prophet under the earth and throw dust on his body? Subhanallah. She could have said, I hate you people, why you bury my dad? Right? أَطَابَ أَنفُسُكُمْ أَطَابَتْ أَنفُسُكُمْ أَن تَحْثُوا عَلَى رَسُولِ اللَّهِ التُّرَابِ. Brothers and sisters, there's so much depth in these words. There's so much lessons in these words. That this was a alima. This was a faqiha. This was a siddiqa. This was a woman she wasn't a normal. Subhanallah, she was of a very high maqam. How do your hearts feel to put dust on the body of the Prophet and bury him in the ground? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the love of these people. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to emulate these people. And 6 months after that, she did pass away. 6 months. after the demise of the Prophet ﷺ, she left this world and she passed away. And she was buried in the night, and hardly anybody was in her janazah. This is the way. She lived in poverty and simplicity. She was born in poverty and simplicity, and she lived in poverty and simplicity, and she died in poverty and simplicity. And it says there was only probably 3 people in her janazah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to emulate them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with them. Radiullahu Anhum wa radu. May Allah ta'ala be pleased with them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to love them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to make them our role models. May Allah grant us the ability to emulate them and follow them. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.